It's starting?
Yeah. So you are being recorded now. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay. There should be something saying you're being recorded on your end on Skype. But it's active now. So let's start with you ask questions and I'll answer any question you have. Since people are watching this and they don't have any background, maybe say how we met.
Well, I met Mr. Evans on a on a YouTube comment section, and I just commented saying, "I would like to be interviewed by you," and you're like, "Yeah, sure, go ahead." I'm like, "Wait, really? That was kind of a joke, but that sounds awesome."
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I thought you would honestly say, "Oh, no, I'm not going to interview you." But the fact I'm actually interviewing the leader of the independence movement it's pretty mind-boggling to say the least.
Yeah, but tell them the story. Remember that we had a little interaction today because I think that's key. I mean, that is the reason why I'm doing the interview with you. What happened with you today is the reason why I'm saying yes to these things.
Well, from my understanding, because of the coronavirus, you can't really do your work, and so you're just interviewing people as a way to do two things. One, to get a better perspective yourself on the situation, everything going on in the world, and two, it's supposed to show to the whole world that these interviews aren't fake and that they're actually like legitimate, and that
Oh,
you're not
yeah, but
just and
also
you're
that, yeah. Well, yeah, but I meant also that today we had talked on email. You thought that I was Louis Marinelli. I
oh
pointed out
yeah, yeah,
as
yeah. I actually
you
thought
were
you
like,
were for a
"Oh, I didn't know
moment.
that." And that's
I actually
that's the
thought you
reason why I
were.
do these interviews because the mainstream media will not report the facts. They act like something is true that was true 3 years ago, and we have a hell of a time getting basic information out. I am constantly misquoted, and people constantly have just bad information about us. And so that's why I did this interview because the mainstream media will not report us fairly.
Well, yeah, of
Bottom line.
course not. They call the Texas Nationalist Movement a movement I'm proud to be part of. Racist, bigoted. Daniel Miller is just a racist redneck hick. And all these American ultranationalists are like, oh, these dumb Texans should be hanging by a tree. A bunch of traitors to our glorious union. I mean, it's madness. It's absolute madness. The media paints us as equal to like racist what's I'm looking for? Slave owners. It's insane.
I met Daniel Miller. He is not a hick. That man is an intellectual. No, you want to say whatever else you want to say, but he's not a hick. He's an intellectual. And he never struck me as racist.
Yeah, to say I met him would be a little bit of a overstatement, but I actually got to talk with him a little bit through freaking what's that one application that's being used recently, but it's kind of been a thing for a while. That's only popular because of the whole coronavirus thing. What was it called?
Zoom?
Yeah, Zoom. The Texas Nationalist Movement used to do like these little things on Zoom, and I would put down little questions, and sometimes Miller would answer them on occasion. So I kind of talked with him a little bit, slightly, but I wouldn't say I met him. I could say I met you because we're actually having a real conversation, but he only answered just a few questions.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, he was a cool dude. He was also he was also really chilled. He's just doing the video, drinking some coffee, like talking about things. He's a really chilled dude.
Yeah. Yeah. I talked to him once or twice a couple of years ago. He also invited us to the nullification conference by Abbeville Institute in Texas. And I went to that, and that was great because T&M hooked it up. Yeah, I mean, we went as our own thing, but they pointed us in the right direction. I always appreciate that. So let me answer any questions. Just to prove that I'm willing to answer anything, let's do this for anybody listening in. You ask the hardest questions you got. No holds barred. Take those.
I plan on asking some hard questions.
All right, let's get right to it, brother. Unless you want
So
to have some softball questions first. Your
so
call.
you yourself know Daniel Miller. Like, how much do you know him? Like, is he on like your like contact list on your phone? Like, you can call him, like, hey, what's up, buddy? Like, like how close are you to him?
3 years ago, we were talking to TNM and trying to help each other out with some media. I wouldn't call it a partnership or anything. I would say it was more like, hey, did you see this? Messages back and forth. I was able to do 2 interviews with him about 2.5 to maybe 3 years ago on the idea of uh, do conservatives care if California leaves? Because the newspapers here in California said that California could never get the votes to secede legally, as in the case, the Supreme Court case that says you can legally secede if you get consent to the states. So here in California, they said, well, you'd never get the votes because these conservatives, yeah, they talk trash on you, but secretly they want to be you, California. They're jealous of you, and they would be crying in the streets if you ever left. That's what liberal newspapers here said. I knew that was a lie because I have family in Texas. And so I actually just started calling conservatives and saying, here's what, is this true? And boy, did they laugh. Wow, did they laugh so hard. But that's what the newspapers say, and that's what a lot of people still believe. And so what we wanted to do was get information by talking to real conservatives in America, something California newspapers did not do when they said that you all secretly love us and would be weeping in the streets if we Cal exited.
Well, one thing I want to say, Mr. Evans, is that a lot of the principles of the California independence movement I don't precisely agree with, but I
Right.
believe in the right that the Californian people. I mean, I visited California. It's different. It feels like I'm in a different country. But I will
Nice.
say this about California. I don't agree with everything they do, but I feel like their people deserve a right to rule themselves, just among any other culture in the world, for that matter.
What what video did you watch, or what videos of mine have you seen recent that up on the YouTube channel?
Oh yeah, I was actually about to ask another hardball question. I watched most famously recently your video about how you gave an olive branch to the people of Iran.
Nice, nice.
Um, Let me tell you, I'm actually in an Iranian Discord server, and they had some really nice words to say about you, to say the least. They were really happy by the news, like, "Oh, cool, the Californians, the Californians like us, and all this other stuff." It's a little bit funny,
Well, let
but
me let
you
me
got your
ask.
message across.
Well, did you watch the video to the people of Iran that Yes California made?
Yes, I did.
Honest feelings. What did you think?
How do I
You,
put this in
you don't
words?
have to.
How do I put this in words? Iranian people, the government of Iran, while it's not as evil as what the media says it is, it's still a little bit messed up, to say the least. I view Iran almost like it's a constitutional republic that's suffering mentally. It's a strange place. It's not. I wouldn't call it evil, but it's a little bit messed up in the head, to say the least. It's not like Saudi Arabia, but I think it was wise that you gave the branch to the people who had suffered under cruel sanctions, all this other garbage, and not the government.
Hmm, nice.
I think that the Iranian people themselves have gone through way too much garbage in their history in recent years, ever since the Iranian Revolution and the overthrow of their constitutional monarchy, replaced with a total monarchy that the United States put in, by the way.
Oh, we're gonna start
Uh,
with facts.
I mean, I think your move was pretty reasonable. California in Texas, Americans talk about, well, these Californians, these Texans, why are they doing stuff with the Russians and the Iranians? That'll just make us want to be against their independence even more. And all I have to think is, okay, who is Mr. Evans and Daniel Miller supposed to turn to? The United States? No. Germany? No. We already know the response of these two governments. We already know the Europeans will be against us because they're allied with the Americans, and the Americans are against oh, sorry, the government, I'm saying, is against us. So why should we even beg our master for release? Why should we beg the people that want our cultures destroyed, want our history erased, and want our nations forever under the boot? Why would we come to them and say, "Oh, we would like to talk about us getting independence"? We already know the answer. The answer is going to be a straight up no. The only way to gain independence peacefully is for us to have the big boys at the table at our backs. That includes Russia and Iran, and possibly, if you want to sell your soul a little bit, probably even China.
Thank you for saying
That's
that.
how I see it. That's how I see it.
Thank you for saying that. There's a lot. I can't tell you the number of people that said, "Why'd you talk to Iran? Why'd you talk to Russia? How come you didn't reach out to England? Why didn't you call the Prime Minister of Germany?" And I just look at them like, I don't even know how to explain this to you. Do you know how the world works today?
Yeah.
And
The only Western aligned country you might get a response from, or at least a pity response from, is probably Poland or Japan. That's it. That is literally
right,
it. They might give you a little bit of a pity reply, like, "Well, we hope you gain your happiness and your independence, but we can't do anything. Like, just leave us out of this."
right. So you get that. A lot of people don't. Those opportunities aren't available to us. Additionally, it's hard to get legitimate mainstream news. So right after I did the video to the people of Iran, the Sacramento Bee, which is the main newspaper of the capital of California, slammed me doing that, slammed anyone reaching out to the people of Iran, couldn't get my title right. They made it seem like Louis Marinelli was still president, and they got my name wrong. So let me ask you a quick question. That was by the editorial board, meaning the people who run and organize and manage the newspaper. So you have all these top reporters, they've been there for decades, they run the newspaper, they make a special article slamming the video I made to the people of Iran, and they can't get my name right or my title right, never say that I'm president, but mention that Louis Marinelli's president when he hasn't been president for 3 years, and that happened about 7 days ago. Does that sound like responsible journalism to you, sir?
No, of course not.
What? So you tell me, what kind of world are we living in where the editorial board, top reporters, all get together and say, "Yeah, we run this newspaper, the capital of California. Let's not get his name right. Let's get the title wrong, and let's infer that a guy 3 years ago is still running the thing." Can you see what I'm up against?
Yeah, looking at the picture, I haven't looked at the last president. Um, I'm stuttering. I'm sorry, folks.
You're doing
Honestly, I'm
great. You're
excited.
doing
I'm
great.
excited, and I'm also nervous. I mean, I'm literally
Great. Go
meeting the
with it.
guy
Just
who's
go with
leading a
it, brother.
country.
Just
Like,
go with it.
geez.
Just go with
Um,
it. You're doing
but
great.
yeah,
By the way,
honestly, I thought you were the last guy. Honestly, I thought you were the last guy to lead the movement. I didn't think you were an entirely different person.
but that's the point, is that you're a good person. You look at stuff. I can tell you're an intelligent person. And when the editorial board of the Sacramento Bee lies and misrepresents me a week and a half ago, no wonder regular, reasonable people can't get it straight. No wonder, sir. That's why I wanted to talk to you. That's why I wanted you to bring up the email we had, because it's proof of the point. If I can't even get Western media to get my damn name right and title, well, then I guess I have no other option but to go to the foreign world,
Yeah.
because there's something the Iranian people could do that the Sacramento Bee editorial board can't do. Get my name and title right.
Yeah, and
Well,
also,
you have to go to a foreign country to get basic recognition when
yeah,
reporters in California
yeah.
can't do it.
In
How do you
fact,
feel about it?
what I noticed is that if I typed in something about the Texas Nationalist Movement or your movement, for example, it could be any
Mhm.
independence movement that's in the West. Besides maybe Catalonia, I will find a lot of negative, just propaganda dribble about it. But the moment I
Russia.
go, but hold on. But the moment I look it up in Russian, in a Russian search engine, or in Persian, and an Iranian search engine, I will come up with much radical different results. I will hear nothing. I will hear nothing. I will literally hear nothing but from the Russians and the Iranians. Nothing but praise.
Uh,
Meanwhile, while I look up something in an American search engine or a Western search engine, I will find only just garbage. Just, oh, these guys are horrible. They're rednecks. They're racist. They're, or for your
uh,
movements, they call you a bunch of commie socialists. All the slanders in the world, everything. That tells me that the search engines in this country are kind of bullcrap.
what? I
Yeah,
didn't
I
hear
know,
that, sir.
right?
What did you say? What was that last statement you made? I didn't hear that.
That the search engines are basically propaganda, more or less.
In America?
Yeah.
What? Huh. Well, I got to tell you, I talked to a lot of people here who think that MSNBC, CNN, NBC, ABC got us straight all the time. And thank God that we live in a free country with free media and not like totalitarian countries where the government controls their media.
See,
How do you feel about
this is
people
what
who say
America,
stuff like that?
sorry, I was interrupting you, but this is how I feel. America, the United States, it's like the book Brave New World. While China, mainland China, the People's Republic of China is like 1984.
Okay.
The American government controls its people through lies that are very subtle, and they'll give their people an illusion of liberty. While in China, it's a gun to the people's head, and if you don't obey the government, you obviously know what happens. An American style of authoritarianism, the US government's idea is, so why should we kill Mr. Evans when we can just distort everything he says?
Right.
I know that sounds
Right.
horrifying, the idea that the government
No,
could
no,
assassinate
no,
you, but that's just how it
no, you
is.
got it. You got it. I told there was a lot of families said you're going to get shot, and I said you got it wrong. I'm not going to die.
And
They'll just assassinate my name online. That's how it's done. You're the first person I've talked to in a while who goes, yeah, that's how they do it. They don't kill anybody anymore. It's not the 1960s. They destroy your reputation with lies
oh yeah.
in about 50 seconds. And then no one wants to talk to you.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, it's hard to come back from that. When the Sacramento Bee editorial board says that a guy in Russia is still running the organization when he hasn't in 3 years, that's
Yeah.
tough. That is a tough one to come back from.
So,
And yeah,
can I actually start asking a question?
go away. Yeah, go for it, sir.
So, when you gave your little speech to the Iranian people, did the Texas Nationalist Movement respond in any capacity to it?
I don't know. I haven't. It's been a little busy. I don't know. Maybe. I'm not sure.
Because one problem as a Texas nationalist myself is that I feel that Daniel Miller is not reaching out enough to other countries. Now, granted, the Texas Nationalist Movement did go to the Moscow conferences a few years ago, but that's it.
I don't know. I am certainly willing to talk to Daniel Miller again, and help him out with an introduction to the people of Iran.
Well, not necessarily Iran, but maybe Russia instead. Russia feels a little bit more tamer, honestly.
I can help him out with that too. I can help introduce him to the people, but he knows a lot of those same people. Now we blah 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 blah. But I'm always willing to help out the Texas Nationalist Movement with information. We have always, Daniel Miller and I, when we talked 3 years ago, it was great because we both said, look, we don't share the same values, but we can still work together. We both still want to peacefully secede. So why don't we work on getting that information out? Texas Nationalist Movement told us, hey, you guys need to zero in on Texas versus white. And we did. And then I guess they moved away from it. But here in California, we stuck to that and we got it. We got professors and attorneys admitting that existed. And we did that, but we never knew about it before T&M told us. Huge gift. Just knowledge. I didn't say money. I didn't say volunteer. Just
Yeah,
information.
sometimes in life, money can't buy in it everything. Sometimes a little bit of knowledge is worth more than money or whatever.
Yeah, that the Texas versus white. And I remember Daniel Miller, he didn't slam it, but he said, yeah, we're not really pushing that. We're pushing something else. I think it was that a state can just leave if it wants. But he did walk us through it. And thank you. That was great. I do want to get back to the video about Iran, but could I ask you one question about it?
Go. I'm all ears. Go ahead.
Okay, so when you watch the video, this is an A or B question. Okay, it's either A or it's B. Did I make that video and say, hey, if you look at California over the last 5 decades, we protested every war America's fought, every military action. We tried to kick out military recruiters in the 2000s. Jerry Brown traveled to Russia the day Trump kicked out ambassadors. Newsom goes on Spanish TV and says, ignore Trump, we do our own thing here in California. Glasnost was started here in California. Reagan from California reached out to the Soviet Union. Nixon from California reached out to China. Did I say, hey, when you look at all these historical events that are facts and have happened since the 70s, what do you think California is going to be if it's independent? It's going to be more of the same. Or option B, did I say, in my opinion, I, Marcus, think this is the way California would be just because I think that? Which one, sir?
Well, I think you already know the answer.
Yeah, but we need to hear it because people will not admit that my entire speech was based upon facts and history.
I didn't think anything you said was egotistical or was ignorant. I think it pretty much hit home to me.
So, second question. If the thrust and the point of my presentation was about looking at history, therefore we can say this is most likely what an independent California would be, how come no Western reporter ever reported that and all of them made it seem like it was just my opinion? In your opinion?
Well, simple. Why would they sell the idea? Why would they even mention the idea of independence when there's a global crisis going on? The United States government wants to keep the idea of Texan nationalism and Californian independence, nationalism down, because if they say, hey, look, by the way, this is an option, but this is an evil option, even if they just say that, people will be like, huh, I'm hungry, I'm having to wear a mask because, the government couldn't prevent the coronavirus from spreading, maybe this whole independence movement thing isn't as stupid as I thought. I could have phrased that better, but they're just trying to just zip the lip on it so they can forget about you.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. I mean, you deal with facts and history and nobody mentions that at all. Back to you, sir. Other tough questions. Anything at all?
This is not an important question, but it's a nerdy question.
Sure.
So I'm huge into military stuff. If you could design the combat uniform of the Californian Republic, what would it be?
Well, interesting fact, California already has a military independent from the U.S. military. So it's called the California State Military Reserve. It is not the reserves. So people know the California National Guard and the reserves. There's another branch called the California State Military Reserve. There's also a California State Naval Militia. They are independent and cannot be taken over by the federal government, while the National Guard and the reserves can. Those people already have uniforms. I would just defer to that.
Even if the uniforms are basically just American stuff.
Well, I mean,
to be fair though, this question is not up. This shouldn't be asked right now at the moment. But honestly, I think if California became independent, it should design its own camouflage to basically say, hey, we're our own thing, and we even have our own uniforms and gear. So we're not anyone's puppet. We are our own thing.
Well, I think flags could do that. So when you have military uniforms, they have those patches and you just change the flags on them. A lot of people do that, and that's all they do to kind of show they're different. I mean, you can do different schema.
Oh, yeah.
I would just say that the California State Military Reserve and the Naval Militia that already have uniforms, take off the American flag, just keep the California one on there. Also, the California military already has a really cool California flag. It's like the bear with like lightning bolts coming off of them.
Oh, I
It,
didn't know
it
that. That's kind of cool.
yeah, it's pretty awesome. I don't know who made that, but when you look at California troops and you look at the California emblem, it's not exactly the state flag. It's the bear with like razors on it or lightning bolts or something shooting off, and it looks way cool. So I would probably keep that. Also, I might add the original. It's called the Lone Star. So you've heard the Lone Star flag?
Oh yeah, I heard that on the original California flag, the star was supposed to represent Texas.
Yep, because you were a nation and we were a nation before we joined. California was a nation in 1836, independent from Mexico and America. A lot of people don't point that out. It was effectively a de facto independent state for 10 years. Nobody brings that up. At that time, they had a flag that was simply a white background with one red star. That would probably also go on the California military uniforms. The California flag and the white background red star flag, which was used for years when Californios were independent from Mexico and before they were militarily invaded by the American military.
Well, sounds good to me. By the way, I wouldn't even call Texas independent de facto because entire world powers recognized Texas as a country.
Oh, I was talking about California.
Well, it was de facto independent. You're right. I thought you were talking about Texas for a moment. I'm sorry.
No. I was just California was independent, not exactly recognized, but everybody here thought of themselves as Californios and not Mexicanos from 1836 for about 10 years.
So, do you have any more questions for me, Marcus?
Um, okay, you're in Texas.
Yeah.
Would you guys be weeping if we left the Union because you secretly love us and want to be us?
No.
Huh. Huh. What if I told you that you better kick California out of the Union, or next thing you know, a Californian's going to be moving into your neighborhood and voting to change your laws?
Um.
Is
Uh.
that something you'd like or not like?
Um. I don't know how to answer that question without coming off as a jerk or me sounding ignorant or whatever. I mean, Mr. Marcus, we do disagree with a few ideological notes, but for most part, in the end of the day, we want the same thing, and we just kind of want to respect our own boundaries. So I think because of some problems in California, it has caused Californians to move into Texas, and I would wish there would be a little bit less Californians here, but I don't want to get into that.
Fair
It's a
enough.
really California and Texas should really be like siblings and not enemies. In fact, I mean, come
Sure.
on, like when California made its first flag, the star was supposed to represent Texas. I mean, come on.
I am just saying uh, some of the things that we've seen where we're able to motivate a lot of conservatives to say, yes, they would allow California to leave, no problem, when we point out Californians are moving to your state and they're changing your laws. And we know y'all don't like it because we see it in the paper. So if you don't want your laws changed so that Texas ends up exactly like California, then my word to everybody over there is you should be encouraging Cal exit.
I am.
Good man. Okay, I'm done. Any last minute questions, and I'll post this up to YouTube and get a hold of you a little bit later.
Yeah, I guess it's already been 30 minutes. I'm kind of wasting your time now, but
No. The thing is that there's so much rumors. The only thing people believe is when I talk to someone who I just have a random connection with. So you may not be a professional media person, but I could tell you that people are going to listen to this and they're going to judge this a lot more than whatever some major network says. Nobody
Well,
believes major news anymore.
yeah, probably. A lot of folks don't really trust the mainstream media anymore. Like it's a joke. Like whenever the TV would be on in my house and I'd be doing whatever and I would hear in the background be like, oh God, it just feels like total propaganda. Even the slangs they use just feels like propaganda. Like on the front lines. I'm just like, God, really, people? Really?
I do got to point out, I'm Tejano, so I'm Tejano, the Mexicanos de Texas, who were there before it became Texas. My family's from Amarillo. I'm sorry, Amarilla. It's pronounced Amarilla.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so to put that out there. Any websites you want to plug? Last minute comments.
Well, I have one last question. How do I screen share?
Screen share.
Yeah, I made a little bit something. I do Photoshop and I want to show it to you.
I think incoming. Okay. So if you press on the bottom right, you should see dots. Press the dots and options should pop up for you.
It's not really that important. Anyways, thank you, Mr. Evans. I'm really happy I could talk with you.
All right, I'll post this up and I appreciate it. Any other questions you have or anybody wants to talk, please.
Well, I consider myself a bit of a historian, and I think that I suggest you look up Sun Yat-sen's Three People's Principles. It's a very fascinating philosophy on how a government should be ran, and the best way I can describe it is it's a perfect mix of liberal and conservative values all mixed into one. It's just the perfect mix. I don't know how to describe it. Like the
Yeah.
man himself was a doctor, but also like a Christian. I mean, granted, you can be a doctor and a Christian. This isn't anything like out of the ordinary, but this should probably tell you a little bit of how he sees the world. He's a doctor, he's a man of science and reason, but
Oh, I know
also
who you.
faith.
Yeah, Cantonese, right? Out of China, was going to direct China in a certain direction. That was before the Kuomintang and the communists took over.
Well, he founded the Guomindang. He founded the Kuomintang.
Right, right. And then Chiang Kai-shek took over after him, and then he had a dispute with Zedong. So Sun Yat-sen predates both of them, I think, right?
Yes, he did.
All right. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out. And I would recommend to you that you check out Lee Kuan Yew.
How do you spell
From
that? How do you spell that?
Leekwan.
Kwan.
Yeah, Kwan. And YU, I think. Lee Kuan Yew. He started Singapore.
Oh yeah, I found him. Yeah.
Yeah, he created that. He made that a country, made it a nation. One man single-handedly basically made it a nation.
So you're basing the California independence movement off of Lee Kuan Yew.
No. I'm just saying that as a friend helping out another friend, if you want to see about how to think about forming a nation, he's great for food.
Well,
If you read about him, he makes you think big about what Texas could be as a nation. That's all I'm
I
saying.
already think plenty of big what Texas could be as a nation. One of the things as a joke I have said is if when Texas becomes independent and we have our own space agency, one of the first things we should do is fly to the moon and to fly to the exact same area where the United States has planted their flag on the moon. And even though by now it's like all white and stuff because the sun bleached and all, but whatever. But what we will do is that we will film it in such a way that it shows a Texan astronaut just removing the old American flag and hoisting up the Texan one in its exact place, while declaring that Texas will take America's place as the world power. Like, just something just insane and just hilarious like that.
Californians have a vision that there's a country or there's a group of people, and Americans say, we're going to blow you up if you don't do what we say. And they're all scared and hobbling and worried. And then a Californian walks up to him with an open hand and says, I may not agree with what you're doing, but I would never threaten you like that.
Yeah, and Americans say, well, you guys could never leave. We'll bomb you to hell. I'm like, well, the fact that we're being threatened by politicians to be bombed to hell just makes me want to gain independence even more.
Here in California, all we got to do is say, do you watch conservatives? They talk trash on us every day. And then we say the next day, you really think those people love you and want you to stick around? That's an easy sell. We don't have the issue you have. It's easy to point out that many Americans don't like us. All right, brother. I will send this to you. And if you know anybody else that wants to chat or talk, please send them my way.
All right, thank you. I hope I wasn't. I feel like as soon as it's posted, a lot of people in the comments will be like, "LOL, this guy stutters a lot," or "LOL, this guy is stupid." I feel like I would get that. I feel like I would get that, and I feel like I would be half expecting that.
Do you know? No. You didn't come off stupid. You didn't come off that. You're underconfident. You were fine. You were fine. I've done this a lot. Let me tell you, as somebody who's been on TV and done New York Times and stuff, you're fine. You're totally fine. There's nothing wrong. You're fine. Also, I would look up, have you heard of something called man on the street interviews?
Yeah, I think so.
Everyone's doing that today. Why are they doing that? Because nobody trusts a professional reporter anymore, brother. They trust people like you. So while you're walking around going, I'm not a pro, I'm going, great. People like that now. Nobody's trusting regular reporters anymore.
Well,
this is what people trust.
To be fair, though, a lot of times what the media will do is they would actually walk up to someone, edit it in such a way where they don't show the news guy, giving the other guy they're being able to be interviewed, quote unquote, a 20 and saying, hey, just read this and just say these lines and you'll get $20. Like that's just what you do. That's one way of doing it.
Well, you just proved the point. So I understand you're saying, hey, I'm not as professional, and welcome to now. There's something called citizen journalists. That's a whole industry based upon regular people who are believable.
Yeah, of course. Well, it's already almost like, what was it, like 37 minutes in? Not even counting the little bit we were talking before we actually started recording. So I think we're about done, Mr.